Jake Morrison walked through the grand halls of Terra Command with his dress uniform pressed sharp and his medals gleaming under the bright lights. 3 months had passed since humanity won the war against the Zephyrian Empire, and everyone still treated him like a hero. People stopped to shake his hand and thank him for his service. Children pointed at him with wide eyes full of wonder. Jake smiled and nodded, but inside he felt empty. The war was over, but something felt wrong. During the final battle at Kepler Prime, too many things had gone badly for the human forces. The Zephyrians seemed to know exactly where human ships would attack, and they had prepared perfect ambushes. Thousands of good soldiers died because someone gave away their battle plans. Jake tried to push these thoughts away, but they kept coming back like ghosts. Admiral Patricia Wells greeted Jake at the entrance to the briefing room. She was a tall woman with gray hair and cold blue eyes that never seemed to show any real emotion. Jake had worked with her during the war, and something about her always made him uncomfortable. She smiled too much, and her questions were always too specific. "Captain Morrison, wonderful to see you again," Wells said with her perfect smile. "Please come in. We have much to discuss about your new assignment." Jake followed her into the room where several other high-ranking officers sat around a polished metal table. He recognized most of them from the war. General Lisa Carter gave him a small nod from across the table. She was one of the few people Jake trusted completely. Her honest face and direct manner had earned his respect during many difficult battles. "Gentlemen and ladies," Wells began, "Captain Morrison will be leading our new colonial expansion program. The Zephyrian territories are now open for human settlement, and we need experienced commanders to oversee the transition." Jake listened as Wells explained the mission details, but his mind wandered. Something in her voice sounded rehearsed, like she had practiced these words many times. When she mentioned specific worlds that would be targeted for colonization, Jake noticed she knew far too much about Zephyrian infrastructure and population centers. How could she have such detailed information about worlds that humans had barely visited during the war? After the meeting ended, Jake stayed behind to review the mission files on his personal datapad. The other officers filed out one by one until only he and General Carter remained in the room. Carter walked over and sat down next to him with a serious expression on her weathered face. "Jake, I need to talk to you about something important," she said quietly. "Not here, though. Meet me in my private office in 1 hour. Bring your security codes." Jake nodded and gathered his things. As he walked through the corridors toward Carter's office, he noticed several things that seemed strange. Security cameras pointed in directions that made no sense. Guards stood at posts where no guards had been stationed before the war ended. Most disturbing of all, he saw Counselor Rick Barnes talking quietly with a group of men he did not recognize. Barnes noticed Jake watching and quickly ended his conversation. Carter's office was located in the old section of Terra Command, where the walls were thick and electronic surveillance was limited. She closed the door behind Jake and activated a small device that would block any listening equipment. Her face looked grim as she pulled out a sealed data chip. "Jake, what I am about to show you must stay between us until we decide what to do," she said. 3 days ago, my intelligence team discovered some encrypted communications in the captured Zephyrian databanks. When we decoded them, we found something that will change everything. She inserted the chip into her computer and holographic displays filled the air above her desk. Jake saw communication logs, battle plans, and financial records that made his blood run cold. The communications were between Zephyrian commanders and human officials. The messages contained detailed information about human fleet movements, supply routes, and attack strategies. Someone on the human side had been feeding intelligence to the enemy throughout the entire war. "Look at the transmission dates," Carter said, pointing to the timeline. "These communications happened before every major human defeat. Someone told the Zephyrians exactly when and where we would attack." Jake studied the data more carefully and felt sick to his stomach. The Battle of New Mars, where his best friend died. The ambush at Titan Station that killed 3,000 civilians. The surprise attack on the medical convoy that destroyed badly needed supplies. All of these disasters happened because someone betrayed humanity to the aliens. "Who sent these messages?" Jake asked through clenched teeth. Carter highlighted several communication codes. The messages came from multiple sources, but they all traced back to 3 main contacts: Admiral Wells, Counselor Barnes, and someone using the codename Architect. "We do not know who Architect is yet." Jake stared at Wells's name on the display and everything suddenly made sense. Her detailed knowledge of Zephyrian worlds, Her perfect smile when discussing human casualties, her insistence on specific battle strategies that always seemed to fail. She had been working for the enemy the entire time. There is more, Carter continued. According to these records, the Traitors received payment in advanced Zephyrian technology. Look at this. New displays showed technology transfers and research data. The Traitors had been given access to alien weapons, medical equipment, and most importantly, genetic enhancement procedures. The Zephyrians had been changing human biology to create hybrid soldiers that would be stronger and smarter than normal humans. They are still out there, Carter said. Our intelligence suggests that Wells and Barnes have escaped to the Outer Rim territories, where they are building some kind of new organization. They have taken human military equipment and alien technology with them. We think they are planning something big. Jake felt rage building inside him like a fire. These people had betrayed their own species for money and power. They had caused the deaths of millions of innocent humans and aliens who just wanted the war to end. Now they were free to continue their evil work while heroes like Jake received medals for cleaning up their messes. What do you want me to do? Jake asked. Carter looked directly into his eyes. I want you to hunt them down. All of them. We cannot use normal military channels because we do not know how deep this conspiracy goes. I am giving you unlimited authority to form a special team and go after these traitors wherever they hide. Jake thought about his dead friends and the families destroyed by betrayal. He thought about the future of humanity and the responsibility that came with victory. The war against the Zephyrians was over, but the real fight was just beginning. I accept the mission, Jake said, but I choose my own team and we do this my way. Carter smiled for the first time since the meeting began. I hoped you would say that. Your ship is waiting in Dock 7. She is called the USS Vengeance and she has some special modifications that should help with your hunt. Jake stood up and shook her hand. Tomorrow he would begin the most important mission of his life. The traitors thought they had won by surviving the war, but they had no idea what was coming for them. Jake Morrison was going to make sure that justice found every single one of them, no matter where they tried to hide in the galaxy. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance watching the stars streak past as they traveled through hyperspace toward the Kepler sector. 2 weeks had passed since General Carter gave him the mission to hunt down the traitors, and he had spent that time carefully choosing his team. Each person sitting at the control stations around him had proven their loyalty during the war, and Jake trusted them with his life. Lieutenant Commander Alex Rodriguez sat at the navigation station, plotting their course to Haven's End, a remote mining station where Admiral Wells had been spotted 3 days ago. Alex was a brilliant tactician who could think 5 moves ahead of any enemy. During the war, he had saved Jake's life more times than either of them could count. His steady hands and quick mind made him the perfect second in command for this dangerous mission. Sergeant Major Kate Phillips checked her sniper rifle at the weapons station. She was the best marksman Jake had ever seen, and could hit targets that other soldiers could not even see. Her quiet manner and deadly skills had earned her a reputation among human forces as someone you definitely wanted on your side. Kate never spoke much, but when she did talk, everyone listened carefully. Dr. Ben Harper worked at the science station studying captured Zephyrian technology that might help them track down the traitors. Ben had spent 2 years as a prisoner of war studying alien biology and weapon systems. The Zephyrians had tried to break his mind, but instead they had taught him everything he needed to know about their technology. His knowledge would be crucial for understanding what the traitors were planning. Captain, we are approaching the Kepler sector, Alex announced. Haven's End station is 3 hours away at normal speed. Jake nodded and activated the ship's stealth systems. The USS Vengeance had been modified with captured Zephyrian cloaking technology that made it nearly invisible to most sensors. They would need every advantage they could get because the Kepler sector was known as a dangerous place where criminals and mercenaries gathered to trade illegal goods. Ben, what do we know about this station? Jake asked. Dr. Harper pulled up holographic displays showing the station's layout. Haven's End was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid about 50 years ago. It has multiple levels connected by maintenance tunnels and cargo lifts. The station operates as a neutral trading post for various alien species who do not want to deal with human or Zephyrian authorities. Kate Phillips studied the tactical information. Multiple entry points, but also multiple escape routes. If Wells is really there, she will have planned several ways to run if we show up. Intelligence reports say she has been recruiting alien mercenaries and human deserters, Alex added. She might have a small army protecting her by now. Jake felt his jaw tighten. Wells was not just hiding, she was building something. The idea that she might be creating a new military force made him angry but also worried. What was she planning to do with an army of criminals and aliens? 3 hours later, the USS Vengeance approached Haven's End station. The massive asteroid looked peaceful from the outside, but Jake knew that looks could be very deceiving. Ships of various sizes and designs were docked at different ports around the station. Some looked like normal cargo vessels, but others were clearly armed warships. "I am detecting unusual energy signatures from the station," Ben reported. "Someone has been modifying the power systems with Zephyrian technology. The station is generating 3 times more energy than it should need for normal operations." Jake exchanged glances with Alex. "She is definitely here, and she is definitely up to something. Kate, I want you to take position on that cargo ship near docking port 7. Alex and Ben, you come with me through the main entrance." The team split up and approached the station from different directions. Jake and his group used fake identification papers that Ben had created using captured Zephyrian equipment. The security guards at the main entrance were a mix of human deserters and alien mercenaries who looked like they would kill anyone for the right price. Inside the station, Jake was amazed by what he saw. Haven's End was much larger than the intelligence reports had indicated. Hundreds of beings from dozens of different species walked through the corridors trading weapons, information, and things that Jake did not want to think about. The air smelled like metal and alien chemicals that made his eyes water. "This place is like a small city," Alex whispered as they made their way toward the central hub. Ben pointed to some of the technology they passed. "Look at those power conduits. They are definitely Zephyrian design, but they have been modified somehow. Someone with serious technical knowledge has been working here." Jake spotted several humans wearing modified military uniforms that he did not recognize. They carried advanced weapons and had a disciplined manner that suggested military training. These were not random deserters. They were organized soldiers working for someone with authority. "Contact." Kate's voice came through their communication devices. "I have visual on Wells. She is in the Central Command Center 3 levels up from your position. And Captain, you need to see this. She looks different." Jake and his team made their way carefully through the station's maze of corridors and maintenance tunnels. They had to avoid several groups of armed guards who were clearly looking for intruders. When they finally reached Kate's position, Jake looked through her rifle scope and felt his blood turn cold. Admiral Wells stood in the command center giving orders to a group of alien and human soldiers. But something was terribly wrong with her appearance. Metal implants covered parts of her skull and strange tubes connected her head to a large computer console. Her eyes glowed with an unnatural blue light, and when she moved, her actions seemed too fast and precise to be completely human. "She has been modified," Ben whispered in horror. "Those are Zephyrian neural implants. They enhance cognitive function, but they also change personality and decision-making processes. She is becoming more machine than human." Jake watched as Wells turned toward their hiding spot. Her modified eyes seemed to look directly at him, even though he knew she could not see through the station's walls. A cold smile spread across her face and she began speaking into a communication device. "She knows we are here," Kate said quietly. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red and automated voices announced that the station was under security lockdown. Heavy blast doors began sealing off different sections of the facility, and Jake realized they were being trapped. "This was a setup," Alex said grimly. "She wanted us to come here." Wells's voice echoed through the station's communication system. "Captain Morrison, welcome to Haven's End. I have been expecting you for quite some time. Why don't you come up to the command center so we can have a proper conversation about the future of humanity?" Jake checked his weapon and looked at his team. They were outnumbered and trapped in hostile territory, but they had come too far to turn back now. The hunt for the traitors had begun, and Jake was determined to see it through to the end, no matter what the cost might be. Jake Morrison crouched behind a metal barrier as laser fire streaked past his head. The trap Wells had set was more dangerous than he had expected. Her modified soldiers moved through the station corridors with inhuman speed and precision. Their weapons fired energy blasts that could cut through solid steel, and their tactical coordination was perfect. "Alex, how many hostiles do you count?" Jake called out over the sound of weapons fire. At least 30 soldiers plus automated defense systems, Alex replied from his position behind an overturned cargo container. They have us surrounded on 3 sides, and they know this station better than we do, Kate. Phillips had found a sniper position in the upper maintenance tunnels where she could provide covering fire for her teammates. Her rifle cracked repeatedly as she picked off enemy soldiers who tried to advance on Jake and Alex. Each shot found its target with deadly accuracy, but there seemed to be an endless supply of enemies. Ben, we need a way out of this maze, Jake shouted. Dr. Harper was studying his portable scanner while pressed against a wall to avoid enemy fire. I am detecting massive energy buildup in the station's power core. Wells is preparing something big. If we do not stop her soon, she might destroy the entire facility with us inside it. Jake realized that Wells was not just trying to kill them, she was willing to sacrifice her own people and the entire station to achieve her goals. The neural implants had changed her so much that she no longer cared about human life. She had become something cold and calculating that valued success over everything else. The team fought their way through the station's winding corridors toward the central command center. Every intersection brought new enemies and deadly traps. Wells had turned Haven's End into a killing ground designed to test their skills and determination. Jake began to understand that this was more than just an ambush. It was some kind of twisted recruitment test. Captain? Incoming message from Wells, Alex announced while dodging behind cover. Wells's modified voice came through their communication system with an electronic distortion that made her sound more machine than human. Captain Morrison, you and your team are performing better than I expected. Perhaps there is hope for humanity after all. The galaxy is a dangerous place and only the strongest will survive what is coming. What are you talking about, Wells? Jake responded while reloading his weapon. The war with the Zephyrians was just the beginning, Wells replied. There are threats in the deep galaxy that make the Zephyrian Empire look like children playing with toys. Humanity needs to evolve or we will all die. The neural implants and genetic modifications I have received are the next step in human development. Jake felt sick as he listened to her words. Wells truly believed that turning humans into machine hybrids was the right thing to do. The alien technology had not just changed her body. It had corrupted her mind and made her think that betraying her own species was justified. The fighting continued for 2 hours as Jake's team slowly advanced toward the command center. They discovered that many of Wells's soldiers were humans who had been modified with Zephyrian implants. Some still retained enough of their original personalities to hesitate when shooting at former comrades. Dr. Harper realized that the conversion process was not permanent if they could reach the subjects quickly enough. Jake, the implants have a weak point, Ben called out during a brief pause in the fighting. If we can disrupt the neural connection for more than 30 seconds, the control systems will shut down and the person might return to normal consciousness. Kate immediately began targeting the implants on enemy soldiers instead of trying to kill them. Her precise shots disabled several attackers who then seemed confused and disoriented. Some of them even began helping Jake's team fight against the remaining modified soldiers. This discovery changed everything. Jake realized that Wells was not just recruiting criminals and mercenaries. She was converting normal humans into hybrid slaves who had no choice but to follow her orders. The people shooting at them were victims, not volunteers. New plan, Jake announced. We save as many of these people as we can while we hunt down Wells. Ben, can you create some kind of device that disrupts the implants? Dr. Harper was already working on his portable equipment. Give me 10 minutes and I can modify our communication devices to broadcast a signal that should interfere with the neural connections. While Ben worked, Jake and his team continued fighting their way through the station. They discovered laboratories where Wells had been experimenting on human prisoners. Medical equipment filled with alien technology showed that she had been trying to perfect the conversion process. Computer records revealed that she had successfully modified over 200 humans in the past 3 months. The most disturbing discovery was a communication log showing that Wells had been in contact with other traitors. Counselor Barnes was mentioned several times, and there were references to someone called the Architect who seemed to be directing the entire operation. Jake realized that Wells was just one part of a much larger conspiracy. Signal ready, Ben announced. This should disrupt any neural implants within a 100-meter radius. Jake activated the device and immediately saw results. Modified soldiers throughout the area began staggering and holding their heads as the implants lost control. Many of them looked around in confusion before recognizing Jake's team as fellow humans. Some began crying when they realized what had been done to them. With most of Wells's army neutralized, Jake's team reached the command center. Wells was waiting for them in a room filled with alien technology and computer displays. Her appearance was even more disturbing up close. The implants covered most of her head and mechanical parts had replaced sections of her arms and spine. "You are too late, Morrison," Wells said with her electronic voice. "The signal has already been sent. The other members of our organization know about your team, and they are preparing countermeasures. You may have stopped me, but you cannot stop what we have set in motion." Kate Phillips had her rifle trained on Wells, but Jake held up his hand. He wanted answers before they ended this. "Who is the architect?" Jake demanded. "What is the real plan?" Wells smiled with her remaining human features. "The architect is someone you would never suspect. Someone who has been planning this transformation for decades. The plan is simple. We are going to save humanity from itself whether humanity wants to be saved or not." Before Jake could ask more questions, Wells activated a self-destruct sequence for the command center. Jake's team had less than 60 seconds to escape before the explosion would kill them all. As they ran for safety, Jake heard Wells laughing through the station's communication system. The USS Vengeance barely escaped Havens, and before the entire asteroid exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from 3 star systems away. Jake stared at the destruction and realized that their hunt had only just begun. Jake Morrison paced the bridge of the USS Vengeance as they traveled toward the Andromeda Spiral, where intelligence reports placed Counselor Rick Barnes. 3 days had passed since the destruction of Haven's End, and Jake could not stop thinking about Wells's final words. Someone called the architect was behind everything, and they had been planning this conspiracy for decades. "Captain, we have a problem," Alex Rodriguez announced from the communication station. "I am receiving coded messages from Terra Command, but the encryption signatures do not match our security protocols. Someone has been intercepting our communications." Jake felt his stomach drop. If their enemies could read their messages, then every move his team made was being watched. The conspiracy reached deeper into human command structure than anyone had realized. They were not just hunting traitors anymore. They were fighting a shadow war against an enemy that could be anywhere. Dr. Ben Harper looked up from his analysis of the data they had recovered from Haven's End. "Jake, you need to see this. The communication logs from Wells' computers show that the conspiracy involves 12 high-ranking officials. Admiral Wells was just one piece of a much larger organization." Jake studied the holographic displays that showed a network of communications between military leaders, government officials, and scientists spread across human space. The scope of the betrayal was staggering. These people had been working together for years to undermine humanity from within, while pretending to be loyal patriots. "Kate, what is our tactical situation?" Jake asked. Sergeant Major Kate Phillips checked her weapons and equipment. "We are alone out here, Captain. We cannot trust normal communication channels, and we do not know which human ships might be controlled by the enemy. If we run into trouble, we will have to fight our way out with just the 4 of us." The USS Vengeance dropped out of hyperspace near the Andromeda Spiral, and Jake immediately saw that something was very wrong. The region of space that had been devastated during the war now showed signs of massive construction activity. New space stations orbited several planets, and hundreds of ships moved between different worlds like busy worker ants. "What is all that?" Alex asked in amazement. Ben's scanners provided disturbing answers. "I am detecting energy signatures that match Zephyrian technology, but the construction patterns are definitely human. Someone has been building a new civilization out here using a combination of human engineering and alien science." Jake realized that Barnes had not been hiding in the Andromeda Spiral. He had been building an empire. The traitors were not just running away from justice. They were creating something new that combined the worst parts of human ambition with alien technology. This was not just betrayal. It was the birth of a completely different kind of human society. The team's investigation led them to a planet called New Geneva, where Barnes had established his main base of operations. The world had been completely transformed from a barren rock into a thriving colony with cities, factories, and research facilities. Most shocking of all were the people living there. "Those are not normal humans," Kate observed through her rifle scope as they watched the planet from orbit. The colonists on New Geneva, moved with the same inhuman precision that Jake had seen in Wells' modified soldiers. Their eyes glowed with electronic light and mechanical implants covered parts of their bodies. But unlike Wells's unwilling victims, these people seemed happy and content with their modifications. They are volunteers, Ben said in disbelief after analyzing bioscans. The conversion process here is voluntary and much more advanced than what Wells was doing. These people chose to become hybrids. Jake felt his understanding of the situation shift again. The Traitors were not just forcing people to become machine hybrids, they were convincing them that it was a good idea. Barnes had created a society where humans willingly gave up their natural biology in exchange for enhanced abilities and longer lifespans. The team infiltrated New Geneva using stolen identification, codes and disguises that Ben had created. Walking through the hybrid cities was like visiting an alien world populated by beings that looked almost human, but moved and talked in ways that seemed wrong. The hybrids were faster, stronger, and smarter than normal humans, but they had lost something essential that made them truly human. "Welcome to the future of humanity," Barnes announced when Jake's team was captured while trying to access his research laboratories. The counselor looked almost exactly like Jake remembered, except for the mechanical implants that replaced his left eye and right arm. "I know why you are here, Morrison, but you are fighting for the past while we are building tomorrow." Jake found himself face to face with someone he had once considered a friend and ally. Barnes had served with distinction during the war, and Jake had trusted his judgment on many important decisions. Now he discovered that Barnes had been betraying humanity the entire time, while pretending to care about human welfare. "You sold out your own species for alien technology," Jake said with anger in his voice. Barnes laughed with genuine amusement. "I saved our species from extinction. Do you have any idea what is waiting for us in the deep galaxy, Morrison? There are civilizations out there that make the Zephyrian Empire look like primitive cave dwellers. When they come, and they will come, humanity will need every advantage we can get." Dr. Harper studied the hybrid technology around them with growing understanding. The modifications are not just physical. They change the way people think and feel. These hybrids are losing their emotional connections to other humans. They are becoming something else entirely. Jake realized that this was the real horror of what the Traitors were doing. They were not just changing human bodies, they were destroying human souls. The hybrids might be stronger and smarter, but they were no longer capable of the emotions and connections that made humanity worth saving in the first place. "You are too late to stop us," Barnes continued. "We have already begun the final phase of our plan. Every human colony ship in the galaxy has been equipped with conversion technology. When we activate the signal, every human in space will be transformed into a hybrid within hours. Earth will be the last holdout, and it will not matter because hybrid colonies will surround and isolate it." Jake felt panic rising in his chest. If Barnes was telling the truth, then humanity had perhaps days or hours before millions of people were forcibly converted into emotionless machine hybrids. The scope of the conspiracy was beyond anything he had imagined, and stopping it seemed impossible. "But you have given us a gift, Morrison," Barnes added with his mechanical smile. "Your resistance has shown us the flaws in our conversion process. The people you rescued from havens and helped us understand how to make the transformation permanent and irreversible." Jake realized that their rescue mission had actually helped the enemy improve their terrible technology. Every victory against the Traitors had somehow made the final plan more likely to succeed. The hunt for justice had become a race against time to save humanity itself. Jake Morrison broke free from his restraints during the prisoner transfer and fought his way through the hybrid guards with desperate fury. Kate Phillips had managed to hide a small explosive device in her boot that destroyed their cell door. Dr. Ben Harper grabbed alien equipment from the laboratory while Alex Rodriguez secured their weapons from the guard station. The team had less than 10 minutes before Barnes would discover their escape. "The colony ships," Jake gasped as they ran through the corridors of Barnes's facility. "We have to warn Earth about the conversion signal before it is too late." Ben looked at his stolen scanner with growing horror. "According to these readings, the signal will activate in 6 hours. Every human colony ship in the galaxy will receive the transmission simultaneously and begin converting their passengers into hybrids." Kate kicked down a door that led to the landing bay where their ship was being held. "We need to get back to the USS Vengeance and contact General Carter immediately. She has to stop those ships before the signal goes out." The team fought their way through waves of hybrid soldiers who moved with inhuman coordination but seemed reluctant to use lethal force. Jake realized that Barnes still hoped to convert them rather than kill them. The traitors believed their cause was so righteous that even their enemies would eventually understand and join them willingly. During their escape, they encountered something completely unexpected. A group of Zephyrian soldiers was also fighting against Barnes's hybrids. The aliens wore modified armor and carried weapons that Jake had never seen before. Most surprising of all, they were helping human prisoners escape from the conversion laboratories. "Do not shoot," called out the lead Zephyrian in accented but clear human language. "We are here to stop this abomination. My name is Commander Zaraketh, and we have been tracking the traitors across the galaxy." Jake hesitated with his weapon raised. These were the same aliens that humanity had fought a bitter war against just months earlier. Every instinct told him to shoot first and ask questions later. But something in the alien commander's voice suggested that she was telling the truth about wanting to stop Barnes. "Why should we trust you?" Jake demanded while keeping his gun pointed at her. Zaraketh removed her helmet to reveal a scarred face and tired eyes that showed genuine emotion. "Because the hybrid technology is an insult to both our species. These traitors are creating something that is neither human nor Zephyrian, but a twisted combination that destroys the best qualities of both races." Dr. Harper studied his scanner readings of the Zephyrian equipment. "Captain, their weapons are designed specifically to disrupt neural implants. They have been developing technology to fight the hybrids for months." Jake made a decision that would have been impossible during the war. He lowered his weapon and extended his hand to the alien commander. "If you really want to stop Barnes, then we work together. But if you betray us, I will personally make sure you regret it." Zaraketh shook his hand with surprising gentleness. "I understand your suspicion, Morrison. My people committed terrible crimes during the war, but we have learned that some things are more important than old hatreds. The survival of both our species depends on stopping this hybrid plague." The combined human and Zephyrian force fought their way to the USS Vengeance while Barnes's voice echoed through the facility's communication system. He seemed genuinely hurt that Jake would choose to work with former enemies rather than accept the future that the hybrids offered. His mechanical voice pleaded with them to understand that everything he had done was for the good of humanity. "You are making a terrible mistake, Morrison," Barnes broadcasted. "In 5 hours, the conversion signal will transform millions of humans into something better than what they are now. You could be part of that transformation instead of fighting against progress." Jake ignored Barnes's words as his team and their new Zephyrian allies reached their ship. The USS Vengeance launched from New Geneva under heavy fire from hybrid defense systems. Barnes was no longer trying to capture them alive. He had decided that they were too dangerous to be allowed to interfere with his final plan. During the flight back toward human space, Zaraketh shared intelligence that changed everything Jake thought he knew about the conspiracy. The architect was not just another human traitor, but someone who had been planning the hybrid conversion for decades. Even before the war with the Zephyrians had begun, this mysterious figure had been preparing to transform humanity into something else. "The architect is Dr. Helen Walsh," Zaraketh revealed while studying captured data files. "She was the scientist who developed your first faster-than-light travel technology. She has been planning this transformation since humans first left Earth and encountered alien civilizations." Ben Harper felt his blood turn cold. Dr. Walsh was a legendary figure in human history whose inventions had made galactic colonization possible. She was supposed to be dead, killed in an accident 20 years earlier. If she was really alive and behind the conspiracy, then the scope of the betrayal was beyond anything they had imagined. Walsh believes that normal humans are too weak to survive in a galaxy full of hostile alien civilizations, Zaraketh continued. She orchestrated the war between humans and Zephyrians as a way to justify the need for hybrid enhancement. Everything that has happened was part of her plan to force humanity to evolve. Jake felt sick as he realized that the entire war might have been artificial. Thousands of humans and aliens had died in a conflict that was designed to create the conditions for mass conversion to hybrid technology. Walsh had manipulated both species into destroying each other, so that the survivors would be desperate enough to accept any solution she offered. The USS Vengeance reached Earth just as the conversion signal was about to be transmitted to every human colony ship in the galaxy. General Carter had received Jake's warning and was preparing to intercept the signal, But Walsh had hidden her transmission equipment somewhere in the solar system where it could not be easily found or destroyed. "We have less than 1 hour," Carter announced over the communication channel. "Every major human colony ship is equipped with conversion technology. If that signal reaches them, 50 million people will be transformed into hybrids before we can stop it." Jake looked at his team and his unlikely Zephyrian allies. They had hunted traitors across the galaxy and discovered a conspiracy that threatened the future of human civilization. Now they had one last chance to save their species from a fate that might be worse than extinction. "Ben, can you track the source of Walsh's signal?" Jake asked. Dr. Harper was already working on his equipment with help from Zara Keth's technical specialists. "Give me 30 minutes and I can pinpoint her location." "But Captain, stopping the signal might not be enough. Walsh has had decades to prepare backup plans and contingencies." Jake nodded grimly. The hunt for the traitors was about to end, but the real battle for humanity's future was just beginning.